Hi everyone, thank you for joining my channel. This is Dorothy, and I'm here to just show you how I am crafting with a purpose for this tutorial. This tutorial is going to be redesigning my home using items I already have. So I'm repurposing items, and I'm also going to be using items that I've purchased cheaply. I will also add some fall pieces to this tutorial. So in order to show you what I'm doing, let's go ahead and get started. So again, I'm crafting with a purpose, and I'm going to talk as little as possible because you can pretty much see what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to take 3 of these boxes and I'm going to cut them up. So all I'm going to do is cut all the flaps off. So a total of 8 flaps per box I'm going to be cutting off, and I'm going to be using the middle, as you can see here, of all the boxes, and just 4 flaps total from one of the boxes, and those would be the 4 largest flaps. So here you can see I'm rolling just the middle, and then I'm taking these large flaps and I'm just going to tape 4 of them together. So 2 here and then 2 more of the other large flaps. All I'm doing is taking something to make a huge circle with. You can use anything you want to make a circle, including a string in the middle with a pencil attached. I'm scoring with my soldering gun because these are very thick boxes, so it'll be easier to cut with my scissors. So after I do the hot glue, I make sure to turn these opposite direction where they meet so that they will not be flimsy, so that they be sturdy. Now also, with the middle, like I said, I cut all the flaps off. I'll save the other flaps for another project or for other projects. But I'm also going to take the other 2 middles, like this one here, and I'm going to also roll those. Now the other 2 middles will be cut 2 inches each shorter than the one before. So the other middle is going to be cut 2 inches shorter than this one, and then the other one will be cut 2 inches shorter than that one, as you'll see here, as I've done on the side of the boxes there. Each 2 inches shorter. Now they don't have to be perfect. The purpose is just to have a little bulk. But as you can see, I started rolling from the middle. I started rolling my rope from the middle. And this rope I purchased from Amazon probably about 10 years ago. And I needed a basket. So as I stated, crafting with a purpose, needing a basket. So I finally get to use this rope. So this is the ivory, and then I will be using the black, starting with the black in a minute. But here I'm taking some rings that I used from an old, I don't know if anyone remembers the old table towel stands or rag stands you can hang your rags on. I pulled these off of that, and I'm just using some floral wire to string through, and these are going to be my handles for my basket. And all I do is just glue them down and just kind of bend them down so that they will stay. And now I'm taking and finishing up my ivory, and I'm going to start with my black and just go ahead and roll my black on around. until it ends, and then I'll start with my white. And this is my last roll, the white, pure white. And then I just decided to make a design on it, nothing fancy. Didn't measure. I just wanted to have a home look, a homemade look. And as I stated, I needed to use the rope. I needed a huge, very thick, sturdy basket. And so this is what I created just because I needed to use the rope and I needed a basket. So I don't expect that anyone would want to go out and just buy this amount of rope just to do this basket. But I just thought I'd throw this in because I needed this. So I just added some used the rope that I had left and added some decorations on the side. And this is what I came up with. Now I'm going to be using this probably for wood pieces, but right now I just put my ribbon in here just to show you how big and thick. Now this is 2 yards around, completely 2 yards around. So here for the next design, I'm using pillows that I already have in my stash. These are pillows from a bed and bag, or I don't know what they used to call them, bed and bag, or bag in the bed, or bed in the bag. I can't remember what they used to call them. But anyway, those I purchased a long time ago. I can't tell you how many years, but it's been quite a few years ago. And so I'm just going to repurpose those. Real simple. I'm taking these buttons that I purchased from Amazon. I wanted some large buttons, so I just purchased them from Amazon. Again, it's been a while ago. I never used them, so this is my first use. I didn't pay much for them. They were, I think, about $6, and you got a total. They're very large buttons, so you get a total of, I think I got a total of 30 for about $6. So I'm just using some chalk paint. And here I'm using some distressed ink that's similar to the color of the pillows. Because it's dry, I just added a little bit of water, spritz a little water on the ink. These I purchased from craftoutlet.com. I purchased not all, but most of my ribbon from craftoutlet.com. I also use Deco Exchange because they have ribbon that craftoutlet.com don't have. So I purchased most of mine from those two. And I always wait for the clearance. So I purchase mine on clearance. So like when the season is up, the sales start, and I go ahead and start purchasing. So that's the best time to purchase ribbon when you want to buy ribbon. But as you can see, I'm doing this just something different to do with my pillows instead of the same old look. And I'm making sure that the glue doesn't get on the pillow because I don't want to make this permanent. I want to be able to change out as I want to. Repurpose again, maybe down the road. And so that's the finished look on that pillow. And then I'm going to take the second pillow. I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm just going to actually wrap it just so that it fits. I'm not going to squeeze it. But I'm going to use a different ribbon, as you can see here. And again, to not make this permanent, I'm going to make sure that the glue does not meet the pillow. And the same thing for the smaller pillow. I'm going to squeeze that like I did for the first pillow. But use the same ribbon that I used on the second pillow. It doesn't matter how you use your ribbon. But here's the finished look. For my next design, I'm going to do the same thing with using, not the same thing, excuse me, but I'm going to be using pillows again. So for this one, I'm actually going to take some material that was given me a long time ago, and I'm just going to hot glue it together. Now all I did not do any cutting to this. It was already just long pieces, and I'm just hot gluing the sides. So I just folded it over, turned it inside out, then hot glued it. Now I'm going to turn it back the right way, because all I did was hot glue the sides, because folding it over, you don't need to hot glue the bottom, of course. And I'm stepping out of my element. I normally don't work with florals a lot. I'm not big on the floral materials, but this was given me, and I said I'm going to use it. So I'm taking these old pillows, and I'm going to stuff the small inside these rectangular small pillows and stuff them inside here. It worked out perfectly. I didn't need to do any cutting. This is the way the material came. So I had two pieces of this, so I'm going to use both and do the same thing for both pillows. Of course, I have this excess, so I'm just going to take the excess fabric that's on this, and I'll be back. I'm going to just trim it off using my fabric cutter. And so just give me a minute here. And now, after trimming, I'm going to just take and fold that in and just hot glue the rest together. And the good thing about hot glue on fabric is that it does hold. It's very, very reliable on when you use it on fabric, the hot glue. And that's the one thing I love about hot glue and fabric. It adheres very well. Now, I'm sure you're saying, I've seen this done a million times, but just wait for it. I'm going to do something just a little different. So I went on, like I said, and did the second one the same way. But here's where the difference is. I'm going to just add some ribbon. So these are just going to be for decor purposes, not for use. And like I said, I'm redesigning, so I'm wanting to do some things differently instead of the same old look. Because remember, as I stated, I'm crafting with a purpose on this tutorial. Most of my tutorials I'm crafting with a purpose, but for this tutorial it's crafting for a purpose for myself. I like to create things for other people as well. As the holidays roll around, I'll definitely be creating pieces for others, but this is all about crafting with a purpose for myself, because I need to redesign. I'm tired of looking at the same old thing, and I don't want to go out and buy anything, so I'm going to use what I have. So here I'm going to make my ribbon the old-fashioned way. I like my easy bow maker, but I like to always remember that um, I learned how to make ribbons the old-fashioned way. So I'm just taking it and making it the old-fashioned way. And the good thing about this ribbon is it can be used all year long, this color, and it kind of falls right into the fall season as well. Again, I want to thank you all for joining me during this tutorial. I do appreciate it. Each design is going to be something a little bit different than what you've seen. I just wanted to remind you that I'm crafting with a purpose as well. And so, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me. I'm going to be taking on some larger projects as well as I redesign. So my next tutorial is going to be about taking on some larger projects. So I hope you join me. For those of you who already follow me, you're already aware that my husband suffers from dementia, so I don't get a chance to do these videos as often as I'd like. But I'm going to be trying to tape as I craft with a purpose for these next few tutorials, because I'm going to be doing some things that are different than what you've probably seen. because I've actually had time to sit with my husband and just spend time with him, but also had time to create ideas and put them on paper. And I'm going to put those ideas to use over time. So as you can see, I've created my bow for my uh, display piece. I'm calling it display piece here. And I'm just going to add some florals, some, stemless florals. Just give it a different look. Now, when you see the finished look, um, it's not going to necessarily be where this piece will end up, but this is just where I'm going to put it for now until I finish my decorating. But this I'm definitely going to be adding to my decor. So I'm just putting it in my pillow basket, I call it. Adding it to my little round pillow that I created, that I did not do a video for, unfortunately, but I used cardboard to create my pillow, my round pillow. I'll try to do another one later on if anyone's interested. But for my next tutorial, of course, I'm going back to my rings. I love making cages, I call them, using my rings. My round bird cages, I call them. Or just cages. They're not really bird cages. They're just cages. And all you do is put 3 rings together, as you can see here. This is one of my favorite things to do because it adds elegance to my rustic look. I love rustic, but I love to add a little bit of elegance to it. So I've learned to add elegance and rustic uh, to create something a little bit different with my designs. So this is an ashtray that I just took and spray painted it in a metallic. These magnolia leaves I purchased from Amazon a long time ago. I constantly reuse them for different things. I try not to make things permanent so I can reuse them as I want to. So these magnolia leaves have been used time and time again for different projects that I've created. Now you can do anything you want when it comes to this cage. You can create anything you want inside of it. I do so many different things with these cages. I just add a bit of elegance, sometimes a bit of rustic inside of them. Whatever look I need to go for. Now these birds I purchased from Temu. I love Temu because they have very, very good quality pieces very cheaply. I only paid, I believe, $3 and some cents. I got a total of 4. And the florals also, I buy a lot of my florals from, I guess I should say my filler florals from Temu. Because most of my florals come from, I purchased Solar Woods. Because they have rustic florals that I really, really love. So Solar Woods and Temu is where I get my florals and my fillers. Temu have excellent prices on fillers. The Dollar Tree is okay, but if you're going to be buying a lot of fillers and florals, it's best to get them from Temu because you get a lot for your money. You just have to do a little bit of research. And you definitely get more for your money if you're going to need to buy a lot of them if you buy from Temu. The only problem with Temu is you have to wait so long to get your items. But if you can try to order ahead, do that. It does definitely work out for you in the long run financially. But here's the finished look on that. And I just want to show you some others that I also did previously. And I always like to use my candlesticks to house them. I use them for other things, but I have so many candlesticks that I purchased for little to no money, or they were given free. Now for my next design, I decided that I'm going to work with some epoxy resin. I've been working with epoxy resin for near 4 years now. And so here I'm showing you, and yes, I'm adding my mica powder to my epoxy resin before I stir my epoxy resin. And I know that's the rule of thumb not to do, but I do it because I let my epoxy resin sit for no more than 30 minutes. So anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, I let my epoxy resin sit. And it eliminates any bubbles. I don't have to worry about bubbles at all. So that's a tip for you. 15 to 30 minutes, let it sit after you pour, and then I add my mica powder, and then I stir all at once. And I also add extra. They tell you a little goes a long way, but I add a little more mica powder so that I can get this look here, kind of what I want to call it, a two-toned look. Now, when I don't want the two-tone look, of course, I add less, because less, again, they do mean that less is more. But I add more again so that I can get that look that I just showed you there. So, of course, I stirred this for close to 4 minutes. And I like to clean my tools off as I'm working so that I don't have to worry about trying to scrape it off later. So again, as I stated, I like to let my epoxy resin sit for 15 to 30 minutes so I don't have to worry about bubbles. All the bubbles go away. They just dissipate. And I'm so grateful that was by mistake that I learned that. And it works out perfectly. I don't worry about bubbles. This way I can go ahead and add my mica powder and stir one time and one time only. Now here I'm just really creating letters that I use on a regular basis. And since fall is coming, of course, I'm making up my acorns. Now, it's been 6 hours. They are not cured, but I'm taking them out to show you the flexibility of them. You can use these to put on round surfaces after 6 hours. Um, I normally wait till about 6 hours. This way I know that they're still flexible, but they'll come out without breaking or tearing, whichever you choose to use. But they're still flexible enough to go on something that's rounded. Now, if you're just going to use them on something flat, you can just wait for the full time for them to cure. But be very mindful of taking them out if you're going to take them out early. Again, I normally take them out no less than 6 hours if I'm going to be using them when they're flexible. So I made a few pumpkins as well, brown pumpkins. And here I want to show you how I use these flexibly. So I'm going ahead and I've already let that sit for about no more than 30 minutes. Again, since this is fall, I'm going to be making more fall pieces. But before I do that, I want to show you just something I did. Or that I've done in the past as far as using the flexibility of the epoxy resin. So here I'm going to pour a thin layer, very thin layer, just enough to access all the crooks and crannies of this piece that I'm going to be using here. This is a nice Victorian type piece. And I want a thin layer. I don't want to use the entire height of this piece. I just want a very thin layer for what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to take my silicone stick, and get in all those nooks and crannies. Now, if I wanted to use the entire, I said length, but width of the piece, then I can just pour it in and it will go ahead and fill in all those nooks and crannies. But I just want a thin, very thin layer of this. Because I want this piece to be thin. And it just takes a minute to make sure you fill in all the nooks and crannies, because you want to make sure that this piece comes out perfectly. So after 6 hours, as I stated, I want it to be flexible. I go ahead and clean my glass. These vases I bought from the Dollar Tree. I bought these quite a while ago. They had them, and I purchased all of them, actually. They were only $1 at the time. So here's my flexible piece. You see I'm able to move it around and adjust it as I need to. And it fits perfectly around the glass. I don't press too hard because it's not fully cured yet, but it will finish curing on the glass. And here's what it looks like after. I did 2 of them, and I did 1 of these on each side. Now, you can decorate the glass and make it fancy and add, some, gold to it, some gold paint to it, or paint your glass and then decorate. There's so many different things you can do with this. But for this piece, I just wanted to be able to see through the glass. So I'm just making sure that it's so I can see through the glass and add my fall pieces that I made in there. So I'm not doing anything fancy, but I will down the road show you how I created some fancy pieces using the same method. But this is what it looks like. Now for my next design, I'm deciding to work with some, again, pieces that I already have. Now these are, I just wanted to show you how large these are. It's a total of 7 pieces, 7 frames that I purchased, and I only paid $5 for them. I don't have all the frames here. I think I have a total of 6 here. One of the other frames is down in another room, but I'm just wanting to do something different with them. I've just had them on the walls the way they are, but I wanted to add a little bit more rustic look to them, although they are rustic looking as they are. I just, of course, love florals, working with different type florals and fillers. And so I'm going to take some of my fillers and go ahead and decorate my rustic pieces here. And of course you can do whatever you want with yours. Use any kind of florals you want with them. Or fillers or greenery. And as I stated, most of my fillers come from Temu. I buy most of my florals from Solar Woods and most of my fillers from Temu. Now, every now and again, I will get some florals from Temu if I see some that I really like, because I'm very much into the rustic look when it comes to my florals. I love rustic florals. But you definitely get a bang for your buck when you purchase your florals or fillers from Temu. You get much more for your money than you would at the Dollar Tree. And I'm not knocking the Dollar Tree, because I do love the Dollar Tree. I don't love them as much now since they've gone up that quarter. But a lot of the pieces that I got from the Dollar Tree were before the quarter, before they raised it a quarter. And as I stated earlier, the only problem I have with Temu is that you have to wait so long to get your pieces. But if you can try to order ahead. Now, as you can see, I'm changing. I'm taking that orange piece. I only have 1 of those. So I'm taking that off, and I'm going to add that on to this other piece, because those 2 are the same. As you can see, the one that's laying side by side. And this one is different. This will be the one in the middle. So I'm going to add that, since I only have 1 of those orange rustic fillers. I only have 1 left. I'm going to add that to that piece and to be in the middle. And then I have 2 of these left, so I'll add these 2. The ones that's going to be on the right and left of that piece that's going to be in the middle. And again, this great thing about this is be for fall, or this can be all year long. It's really a rustic look. So And that's what it looks like, and this is the finished result. And I did add a little bit more to the middle. Since it's the one in the middle, I added a little bit more filler or greenery to that. Now for my next design, I'm taking this oval tray that I have here, oval wooden tray, and I'm just, as you can see, going to make a piece from this. So I'm using some of the box flaps that I had cut out earlier. I love working with cardboard because there's so many different things you can do with cardboard. And it's free, it's cheap. I can't say free because I guess it's when you purchase items and you get the cardboard, I'm sure you pay for the cardboard as well as the items. It's all included in that. But still cheap. So as you can see, I like to take and score, making it easier to cut the pieces. So I got 2 pieces here, and for what I'm about to do, I'm about to show you. And all I'm making is a kind of a cardboard vase. It's going to be something a little different, but a cardboard vase is what I'm making here. Nothing fancy. I just wanted something rustic to go with the look that I'm creating for one area of the house. So along with those floral frames that I did, well, not really floral, I guess more foliage frames that I did, this is going to be in addition to that in that area of the house. So I'm not going to be using these rings. I'm just using these rings to measure how big I need my middle to be on this piece. Now these razors my husband had in his stash of tools, and these are awesome. I'm telling you, they are amazing. I don't even have to buy any razors because he had a ton of these, and I used them like clockwork. In other words, I use them a lot. Now the good thing about cardboard is that if you don't get a perfect circle on each piece you make, because I'm going to need 2 of these, you just take some sandpaper, it doesn't matter what grit, and just sand it down. You can use anywhere from 80 to 220 grit on these. It won't matter, you just sand it down. Now this is some wallpaper that I purchased from auction years ago. We were regulars at the auction. We went to auctions 4 or 5 times a week. When we weren't in church, we were at auctions, and they only would last a couple few hours. But my husband loved the auctions as well as I myself. We got things so cheaply. So this is very good, actually excellent quality wallpaper. And I just didn't know what I was going to use. I knew I was going to use it on the walls, but I knew I would have some ideas for them eventually. And so here's one of my ideas. I've used them in the past, but $3 a roll. It was a huge roll, and each roll was $3. So this is one of the rolls that I got. Love the rustic look of them, and definitely the quality is excellent on these. And they would make excellent wallpaper for your walls, but I had other plans. I knew eventually I would use them for, so. Very heavy roll. I don't remember the name brand of them, but like I said, excellent quality wallpaper. And so I save as much, like if there's excess, I won't throw it away, because it's really, eventually I'll find use for it. But I'm using hot glue to adhere most of this. Some of it I will be using some PVA glue, but for the most part I'm using hot glue. Once I start putting the inside, the filling for the inside in, I will use PVA glue because it's a little bit easier to work with. But for the outside, hot glue works just fine. Now, if I had been thinking, I could have cut this out and actually adhered this to the pieces before I put this together. But I did not think to do that first. That was my fault, so I'm doing it. So the best thing to do is to cut out your wallpaper and add it to your pieces, and then put your vase together. And it'll be so much easier to do. Save you a lot of time. So here, because this is going inside, I'm using the PVA glue, because I don't have to worry about it drying too fast before I get this in. Making sure to cover every bit that I can, all the edges. And doing the same thing for the sides. PVA glue. This is PVA glue I purchased from Amazon. 2 for the price of 1. And I purchased this. They had at the time a deal, 2 for the price of 1. And so I purchased these from Amazon quite some time ago. I can't remember how much it cost. Wasn't much, of course. I don't pay a lot of money for things if I can help it. But of course, because I did not add the 2 before I did it, I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming. If I had did this, added the wallpaper to the cardboard before putting it together, I wouldn't have to worry about any trimming. It would have came out much better than, of course, it did. But the finished result will still look okay. So here I'm just trimming off any excess. Again, you wouldn't have to worry about that if you do your wallpaper before putting your piece together. So I purchased this rope jute from Amazon a long time ago, and I've been using this for so many different projects, and it's been lasting forever. It's 1,200 feet of jute. I believe I paid, I want to say it was about $38 for it at the time. Now it's much more expensive now, but I purchased this a long time ago, and I've been using this jute for a long time, and it's just been like, again, 1,200 feet is going to last you quite a long time. If you're not using it for big projects. Now, if you're going to use it for big projects, it won't last as long. But I use this for small projects like this, and to make my wreath forms. Again, doesn't take much, probably a couple yards to make my wreath forms, maybe 2 or 3 yards to make my wreath forms. So it's going to last for a long time. I've had this for years, I mean many years, and I use it. Now, you do have to, over time, it will start to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of fray. So you'll have to, of course, put a little bit of fire to it to cut down on the fraying. But that's not a big deal. It still has that rustic look, and I still love it because it doesn't unravel. It may fray, but it won't unravel. So I love this stuff. And again, this was purchased from Amazon. It's probably costs a lot more now because this has been probably 15 years ago that I purchased this. And again, there's no rhyme or reason when you're going around your piece. You can go around however you need to. But the one thing I like is when I get to the end, I like to make sure I cut it perfectly so that it will look like one piece and not look like I cut it and fit it in there. It looks like one whole piece. So I'll cut a little bit extra and then cut it down to fit, to make sure that it fits in there perfectly. So it doesn't look like, it was cut and then fitted in there. It looks like one piece. I don't always, unfortunately, capture that look, but for the most part I do. Again, I cut off extra and then cut off whatever excess I need to make sure it fits perfectly. And you can leave it at the one layer, but I just like to add an extra layer of the rope. So I'm going to actually do 3 layers on top. And here's my 3rd layer. And that's just going to be on the top. I'm just going to do the top on this last layer. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3, you can do 4, however many you want. Just make sure you leave enough space open so that you can add your florals. So here's the finished piece, and I say be very careful when using your fire. I'm kind of turning it at an angle so that it won't burn the wallpaper. Now you can do this before you actually add the rope to your piece if you choose. I'm going to turn it down. Turn it up a little bit, and just again do it at an angle. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, working with the torch, and so I kind of realize what I need to do before doing it, and I'm very mindful of making sure I don't burn anything down, because it can happen. I would say do this over top of a sink somewhere where you don't have to worry about catching fire. So if you're going to do this, please do this over a sink or over a bucket of water or something that you don't have to worry about catching fire. Now, these knobs I purchased from Amazon, so there's no big deal. No, I'm sorry. No, I purchased these from Temu. They were much cheaper at Temu. And I can't remember how many came. It was quite a few came with it. And of course, I'm using my distress ink to just distress them. And so here I'm using some foam that came in packaging. And this is messy foam. So I'm going to lay some paper down and be very, very careful when cutting it. So all I do is lay some brown paper, craft paper down that I purchased cheaply at Lowe's. They had it on sale at the time for like $2 and something cents for a huge roll. So I purchased quite a few rolls of that at that price. So I just use that when I'm crafting, just to lay down. And I just put that, cut a piece of that foam off, put it in the middle, put it down in the middle of the vase here. And I'm just taking some of my old, as you can see, old foliage. And I'm going to be using this to decorate my vase inside. I may not use it all, but I'll use some of it. But this is just old foliage from my basket of foliage that, when there are pieces left, I just throw in this particular basket. And so this is what this is. And so here is the finished look once I finished decorating my vase, whatever you choose to call it. For my next design, I'm going to go with these baskets. I've had these for, I can't tell you how long. It's been forever. They were purchased from auction. I can't remember how much I paid, but knowing how frugal I am, trust me, I did not pay much. I'm wanting to say they probably cost me about $5, maybe more, but these are bamboo baskets, real bamboo baskets. It may have been $7. I just can't put a price on them. But I know they were very, very cheap. And so there were 3 of the baskets, but these 2 look alike. And the other one was more of an oval type basket. It didn't look anything. It was still a bamboo basket, but it didn't look like these 2. So that I just use for like to hold stems and things like that. But these I've just had for so long. And I said, what can I do with them? And so I decided I wanted to do something with them. And so I'm adding these legs. And that's it. I'm not going to paint these. These are bamboo. I don't want to mess up the look of the bamboo. I just wanted to just add something different and just make them stand out a little differently than what they already are. I don't have any idea what I'm going to use these for. I'm just going to add these legs and then eventually figure out what use I'll have for these. Probably florals. I'm probably going to just use them for florals, but I don't know. So one of these is a little bit shorter. Something is just a little bit shorter here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue just so that this will stand evenly. And after letting it dry, there we go. Perfect. And of course, I'm taking my distress ink. And whenever it's dried out, I just spritz a little water on them and just distress this. Very simple DIY. Again, using pieces that I already have, just refurbishing them. In some cases, very little. Because I'm definitely not going to paint over this bamboo. There's no way I can do that. I mean, I'm sure that it's been done, and I'm sure it looks beautiful if it's been done. I just choose to keep this look. So I'll do the same thing to both, and there they are, finished pieces. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I just know that they will be used for something. But now they have a different look, a slightly different look. They have legs. So for my next design, I decided I'm going to take and make a wreath. So I'm going to do here a simple fall wreath. Nothing fancy. Just take orange and black, of course, and turn that into a fall wreath. Now it's going to be a little bit different, and I'll show you what's going to be different about it. And I apologize that a lot of the cutting is out of frame. I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm cutting a total of, these are 20-inch pieces. I'm sorry, excuse me, 40-inch pieces. So I'm just using one whole roll of mesh. So it's actually two, black and orange. So I'm using the whole roll on each color. And what excess I have left over, I'll just save that for something else down the road. And of course, these wreath forms come from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using the smaller wreath form, which I believe is 16 inches. It may be 14, I can't remember now, but it's 14 or 16 inches. I believe it may be 14. But those pipe cleaners I purchased from Temu. They had the different colors. And here I'm just rolling about 6 times loosely, and then I'm clipping the end, and then I'm going to scrunch the rest. And I do not put my pipe cleaners on ahead of time. You can do that. I put them on as I do it because I want to just use. I don't want to twist them. I need to use the entire pipe cleaner, and I cut mine in half, 6 inches. This saves me a lot of pipe cleaner. This way I don't throw away a lot of pipe cleaner. And this way, if I put it on ahead, I have to twist it, and you don't have as much pipe cleaner to use. So I put them on as I use them. This way I can twist it around without using up a lot of pipe cleaner. And this way 6 inches work perfectly. It gives me plenty of pipe cleaner to add other things on as I need to. So I'm doing orange, black, all the way around. And I'm doing 2 per section. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's a total of 6 sections, and I'm doing 2 per section. So that's a total of 12 going around, I believe. 2, 4. And then I'm going to also go inside, and I'm going to do 1 per section inside. So that'll be a total of 6 on the inside. Now, you've seen this probably done a million times, but what I'm going to do different, I'll be showing you in just a few minutes. This will be the next to the last piece, and this will be the last piece. For the outside anyway. Now we're going to do the inside. And I make sure the orange will be right there where the black is, and then the black will be where the orange is. So the black one will be right there where the orange is. And again, I put these on as I'm doing them. This way it gives me a lot more pipe cleaner to use, and this way I can save on my pipe cleaners. I mean, not that they're overly expensive, but I'm very frugal, so I try to save where I can, when I can. And then there should be one more piece. This should be my last one. And now, what I'm going to show you here is when I, some ribbon, I'm just going to take ribbon. Again, my ribbon comes from either Deco Exchange or craftoutlet.com. And so I'm cutting my ribbon 12 inches. So 1 foot long. Of course, I'm going to cut them, and then I'm going to cut off my ducktails when I finish cutting. And I'm just going to use the two ribbons, the orange and the black and white. And I'm going to just put the orange on top one way and then the black on top another way. So here I am cutting my ducktails. And I normally take about 2, no more than 3, and cut my ducktails off. Okay, here I'm putting the orange on top on this one, and I'll put the black on top on the next one, and I'll keep following that pattern all the way around. And I know a lot of this is out of frame. Don't know why I did not have the camera pointed a little bit more outwardly, and I do apologize for that. But you can see the, as I'm coming around, you can see the look. Now what I'm doing differently here is I'm adding those pieces that I made earlier with my epoxy resin, the pumpkins, and you can see there's a green pumpkin I made earlier before I did this tutorial. And so I'm going to take those pumpkins and add to that piece. And this is what it looks like when it's all said and done. Now here I am taking some cardboard again. And I'm going to be making, guess what? A pumpkin using cardboard. So I have these cardboard rounds that I after there was some equipment purchased. And these cardboard rounds came with equipment. There were a ton of them. And they were at the church, and they're going to throw them away. And of course, my crafting light went off. And so I took them all. There had to be at least a couple hundred of them. So I took every last one of them. And now the only thing is they have the holes in them. They're like 4 holes going around. No big deal. All I'm doing is taking some glue, and I'm trying a couple different glues. I'm trying the stick glue, as you can see here, and that's not adhering as well as I want it to. So I'm going to end up using either the PVA glue, wood glue, or hot glue. So I'm wiping this stick glue off. It did not work. So I'm just wiping it off. It's just coming off very easily. And I decided to go with wood glue. I have a ton of it, so let's just use it. I want to make sure I cover every inch of the piece, although it probably won't matter too much, but just wanting to make sure that it adheres well. Now this is a fall craft. This, of course, I'm making a pumpkin out of these cardboard rounds. And all I'm doing is just adding glue, using my fingers to spread it around. You can use whatever. You can use a brush or a paper towel. But I'm adding a few rounds until I get the thickness that I want for the pumpkin. So there's no rhyme or reason to how many rounds you need to add. Add as many as you want. Now these rounds can be cut out from cardboard, of course, but because I had these rounds, I didn't need to cut any cardboard out. But you can, of course, take a plate, depending on how big you want it, a saucer, and just cut out your rounds and go there. Now I'm just taking some, and unfortunately you can't see it, I apologize. I'm just taking some sandpaper and sanding it down. So here I'm going to be cutting out my little, I guess, half circle to make it look more like a pumpkin. And so I'm just cutting out strips here. All I did was take and put the pumpkin on top and kind of drew a line. And now I'm going to cut out strips. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can, of course, trim it down. And I'm just cutting out some strips to go around the outside of the pumpkin, as you can see here. Now, because I wanted to use my box flaps that I cut out earlier, I'm just cutting off a couple of these strips, because you won't see it in the end. I'm just cutting off a couple strips instead of one long one. Well, I could have took another box and cut up, but why do that when you have all these pieces from the other boxes you used? So it took 2 strips. I'm just cutting them out, and again, does not have to be perfect. Just as long as it's wide enough, it can be a little wider than it needs to be, because you can trim it up. So I I hate measuring. I hate to say that, but I hate measuring. Now, here's the other roll of the wallpaper that I was talking about. This is the other roll that I paid $3 for. And it wasn't $3 for both rolls. I wish I could say that, but it was $3 per roll, which is still an excellent price. So now I'm going to be taking and measuring and cutting out what I need for this pumpkin. So I'll be cutting, now how I cut that middle off, all I did was take my soldering gun and kind of scored it, and then I just took my razor and cut that razor. I'm telling you, it's just awesome. And took my razor and cut on around, and then I took some sandpaper and sanded it so that it would be perfectly rounded there in the middle where the stem will go. Now I'm taking and I'm tracing my pumpkin, because I'll be using this wallpaper to cover up my pumpkin. So I'm tracing the pumpkin, and then I'm going to trace the strips that go on the side as well. And you can use whatever glue. You can use the PVA glue or hot glue, whichever you choose to use, just as long as you use a glue that to be sure that it adheres. Now here I'm cutting my strips now. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, because you can fix it, trim it, and do whatever you need to do to it. I shouldn't say I hate measuring, but I do. So I just like to make sure if I'm not going to measure, that I cut a little bit extra, because I know I can always trim it down, but I can't. Well, I can add, but it will look tacky. So trimming is always easy. Now here I'm going ahead, and since these are the same size, or the same width or length, excuse me, I'm just starting right in the middle of where the stem will be with this piece, and then I'm going all the way around. I'm just using the hot glue. And I came up a little bit short, but easy fix, easy fix. All I do is take another piece of the, trim it down, add that to it, and then just take a small piece of the wallpaper and stick that down in there, and you'll never know the difference. And here is where I showed you, doesn't matter if it's too long, I'm trimming is coming out perfectly. So here I just again add the pieces on using hot glue, and now of course I'm taking my jute, and I'm just going around the edges. And so I'm going to measure both sides there. One side and then do the other side the same. As close as I can get it. Of course, I just use a little bit of hot glue to adhere that. And I like to add the hot glue on the actual rope so that I can know exactly where it's going to go because if I put it on the paper, then I have no choice but to put it in there. But if I put it on there, I can kind of figure it before I put it down where it needs to go. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. And of course, I'm going to speed this up so you have to sit here and watch me slowly do this. Okay, it was a little bit off, so of course I was able to pull it up without it tearing and readjust that. That's what I mean when I say this is good wallpaper. Because the cheap wallpaper would have just torn. But this stuff is so good. I was so grateful to get that for that price. And of course, you can do this part however you want. If you want to just do the strips, I just decided to go all the way around with it. You don't have to do that. You can do the strips like I did in the beginning. But I just decided for the middle part, I'm just going to do one whole piece going all the way around. You won't be able to see that anyway in the end because I'm going to decorate it a little bit. Now here I'm taking this old pumpkin, I'm just going to cut off the edge. This is an old pumpkin, I'm just cutting off the edge and just trimming that down. That's going to be my stem. It's just... So here I'm mixing brown. I'm just taking some black and red. You can mix brown different ways. And just painting the stem. I end up giving this 2 coats. Now let that dry, and then I'll add a second coat. And I'll go ahead and trim up my frame. I use a little bit of fire because I still want to add just a little bit more rustic look to that. But as you can see, I'm doing it at an angle so that I won't burn my wallpaper. Gonna add a few decor pieces once I figure it out. These are some of the pumpkins and acorns that I made. I'm just gonna use the pumpkins here. And I end up adding another one, I believe. And so here I'm going to take one of the leaves that I made, along with some ribbon that I've made, and finish off my pumpkin. And here's the finished look. Thank you all for joining my channel. I do appreciate you stopping by to be with me. As I stated, I apologize that these videos are slow coming. Tutorials do come, and they take time to do, and I, with a husband with dementia, don't have as much time as I'd like to have. But I try to take as much time as I can to make these and then to get them out. So I hope something caught your eye doing this tutorial, and my next tutorial is going to be all new stuff as well. Again, crafting with a purpose. So to my followers, thank you so much for staying with me. To those who are watching me for the first time, I will try to get out another video soon. I don't know how soon it will be. It seems like my videos come every couple of months, but I will try to get one out sooner than that since the fall season is coming, and I do have a lot of plans to repurpose my home. So thank you so much. I do appreciate you stopping by. God bless everyone. God is just a figure in my life every single day, and I just want to know that I think about you all, and I definitely pray for everyone. I don't know what your needs are, but God knows, and guess what? He's right there to answer. So thank you so much. God bless you all again, and see you soon.